G'day guys, what's going on and welcome back to another video on the YouTube channel. Today we are back with another round of AFL footy tipping and it's round 5, the round after gather round. And I thought, just why not get a guest on today? I did last week with Jaden and this week I have the one and only Shannon Humphreys.
What's up? And like I said, and before we start with this week's tips, thought we might as well go back from last round and see how well we did, to see how many we got right, see how many we got wrong.
Right, that's right. And last round I got 8 out of 9 and Shannon got 9 out of 9. Obviously the one that I got wrong was the Freo Dockers game, them losing to the Carlton Blues, arguably robbed.
Now, let's go through the games that happened last round. So the first game that kicked off from last round on Thursday night, Melbourne took on Adelaide, and Melbourne took down the Crom by 15 points. The Crows are 0-4.
Crows having a horrible start of the season so far.
Now, the next two games, which were the boring games, Brisbane smashed North Melbourne by 70, and Port defeated Essendon by 69. Those two were boring games.
I'm going to show Riley. You've only got 3 folders, don't you?
Mm-hmm. The Brisbane Lions got their first win of the season for 2024.
Correct.
And North Melbourne start the season 0-4 now. Not looking good for North Melbourne. Got a lot of injuries. With the big losses of Coleman Jones is out with Achilles for the rest of the season, and Gota also with the Achilles out for the rest of the season as well.
On the next game,
so the next game that also happened on Friday night, as part of the doubleheader, Port Adelaide and Essendon. Port Adelaide smashed Essendon by 69 points. Port Adelaide were just dominant in the end. To get back on the win.
The next game, which was in Mount Barker.
On the Saturday games.
Swans beat Eagles by 26 and the Eagles gave it all out, didn't they, Shannon?
It wasn't a smashing. It was a very good contest. Harley Reid, the number 1 draftee, kicked his very first AFL career goal.
And Shannon, do you reckon that Harley Reid will get the Rising Star nominee this round?
Probably. We'll probably get it.
Okay, the next game at the Adelaide Oval, the robbery. The Blues beat
Now, the next game that also happened, the Carlton Football Club beat Fremantle by 10 points in one of the most close games of all time. There were some controversial calls about that free kick to Carlton because it was an interference.
No, it wasn't about the free kick. It was about Nat Fyfe smothering it and then off James Aish's shoulder.
Cottrell got the mark. That put Carlton in front, and then came in the last 30 seconds of the game. Carlton had a free kick inside the 50 because there was an interference. And Carlton kicked the match winner. So that's how Carlton won the game.
And Shannon, I don't think that was one of the closest games of all time, maybe. But we'll just keep going. Cats beat Dogs by 4. What do you think of this?
This one's also a very close game. The Dogs fell short right at the end. The Cats beat the Doggies by 4 points in one of the most thrilling games of all time. This has definitely been game of the round. With the likes of Jeremy Cameron, who kicked 3 goals, 1, I think. Or 4 goals, 1.
Sunday games.
Now we move. Now, GWS beat the Suns by 28 points.
The Suns were really up. The Suns were up for a lot of the game, and then last quarter
sort of choked it at the end.
Yep.
Sort of choked it at the end. Toby Green kicked 4. Hogan kicked 4 to 5 goals ish.
And
And
then this one, what a comeback.
what a
You've got to
fun
say,
game it was.
what a
The
comeback by the
Saints.
St Kilda Saints.
The Saints. One of the Saints. How good were the Saints? The Saints. Comeback of the season. They were down at the first half. They somehow managed to come back in the second half and pinch the win from the Tigers by 7 points. The loss of the big names the Tigers had.
All right. Now this is the final
In the
game of the
last
last
game of
round.
the round, the Pies. Another thrilling game of footy. The Pies ended up beating Hawthorn by 5 points.
All right.
The
Let's just
Pies
do this, shall we?
almost choked it there. Almost choked it there. But the
Let's just
Pies
get
were
on.
just too good at the end to get their second win on the board.
Yeah. All right. Let's just get on to the tips now. First game on the Thursday night, the MCG. The Lions take on the D's, which should be a pretty good contest. And both sides coming off a win last week in Gather Round. I tipped the D's to finish top 4, and they could do it. I was one of the only people that made that said they were going to make top 4, and they might do it. And then the Lions, they are only 1-3, which isn't one and 3, which isn't very good for Lions. But I just reckon it's at the J. Lions don't really play at the J that much. They obviously took
Have a bad record there. Very bad record.
And lost by 1 last year. And I reckon the D's will just make it even better and win by 19. What's your tip, Shane?
I'm going the D's to get a bit of revenge after what happened in the semis. That was in 2022 when they got booted out. So I'm going D's by 40. Hopefully they'll kick the Lions out of the G. The Lions have a very bad record when it comes at the MCG.
Yeah.
So I'm going
All
to tip
right,
the D's by 40 and see how we go.
Yeah. All right. Next game at Marvel, the Dogs take on the Bombers at
which is on
the
Friday
night.
night.
5:40 AWST time. And it should be a pretty good game, I'm just going to say. The Dogs obviously choked. Oh, they didn't choke. They weren't really up. They almost beat the Cats. They lost, though. Then the Bombers, they just what can you say about the Bombers? They lost by 69 to Port.
Absolutely embarrassing.
Well, I thought it was going to be a close game. Everyone was, but it wasn't. And
it was
in
a
that
flogging
case, I just reckon the Dogs will absolutely boot the Bombers by 34. What's your tip?
I think both teams coming off as losses on the weekend. Let's see. Dogs just lost to the Cats by 4. Bombers got flogged by 69. I think the Bulldogs can bounce back, get another win on the board, and probably, I know they're in the 8 for now, but if the Suns win against the Hawks, they could potentially kick the Dogs out of the 8. So I think the Dogs are going to win by 36 points. We'll see how the Dogs go.
All right, yep. The next game at Manuka Oval, the Giants take on the Saints at 11:45 a.m. AWST time, a morning game. And it should be a pretty good game at Manuka Oval. Obviously, the Saints booting the Tigers with a comeback. They were down by, it was 23 at most, I think. But I reckon it actually was 30, but it says 23 on the website, so it's 23, I guess. But the Giants, they're I don't think they're in first on the table anymore since they had that bye. But I just reckon that the Saints, they got lucky against the Tigers. They played good, but it's the Tigers. They're probably going to finish bottom for the Tigers. And the Saints
Tigers are just being Tigers.
Tigers just being Tigers, exactly. And I just reckon the Giants will just play at Manuka Oval and win by 21. What is your tip, Shannon?
Now, the Giants, like you said, they do play well at Manuka Oval, Manuka, whatever you want to call it, but I prefer to call it Manuka Oval. That's where they play their home games at. But sometimes away from home, they do tend to lose. Of course, Hogan is leading the Coleman at the moment. I think the Giants can put up a bit of a fight. I think the Saints might put up a valiant effort and have a big fight, but I think the Giants were just probably a bit too good. And they'll probably get the win by 20 and say bye-bye to the Saints.
All right, next game at Marvel Stadium, the Blue Baggers take on the Crows in what should be probably potentially a smashing game, to be honest. Look, the Crows are a very inaccurate side. They only kicked 4 goals against the Dockers, which is not good. The Eagles kicked more goals. The Eagles kick averaging more goals than what they kicked against the Dockers, but that was in round 3, so we shouldn't be talking about that now. They came off a loss to Melbourne. Carlton came off a win to Freo, and it's Carlton's home, 2:35, an Arvo game in WA. And I'm just going to say Carlton's key players, Charlie Gurno, Mackay, many more, will blow the Crows out of Marvel, and the Blues will win by 37. What's your tip?
Whoa. Blues are 4-0. The first team have ever been 4-0 since 1995. Can they go 5-0, or will the Crows upset the Blues? And Blues fans are not going to be happy if they do drop this game. And the Crows are 0-4. It's the other way around. The Blues are 4-0. The Crom are 0-4. If the Blues drop this game, I don't know what's wrong with the Blues. They're going to be without Doherty and Savani for the rest of the season. And like you said, with the likes of Mackay, Curnow, even a Paddy Cripps sort of kind of type, they can kick straight. So I think the Blues will go 5-0 to start off the season. And the Crom will go 0-5, and the Blues will get the job done by 38 points in one of the most entertaining games of all time.
All right, moving on to People First Stadium. The Suns in a home game take on the Hawthorn Hawks in a night game. And what can you say? I mean, I'm not even joking at this rate. I reckon the Hawks could actually potentially sneak this game. They were down by, I think the biggest lead was 35 to the Collingwood Magpies. They only lost by 5. They shouldn't have lost. They should have made the comeback. The Hawks should have won. And then obviously the Suns. I reckon if the Suns did that in the last quarter against the Giants, they could do that against a Hawthorn type of side. And I just reckon the Hawks will win in an upset, as they almost did against Collingwood, and the Hawks will win by 14. What's your tip?
Oh, I hate to tell you this, but because it's the Suns' home game, the Suns do tend to play well at home. I'm actually going to go to Gold Coast Suns to get it done, to try and get back into the 8. So I think the Suns will probably get it done by 6 goals, 36 points.
And this one is a bit of a controversial game. Obviously, the Freo Dockers played at the Adelaide Oval last week. They're playing there again against the Port Adelaide Power in another night game on the Saturday. Surprisingly, 2 games starting at the same time. I'm probably going to watch Port Adelaide Freo. It should be probably a better game. It depends though. But Port home game. What can you really say about Port? Port are just Port. They beat the easy teams.
Port were just too good against the Dockers.
Port are just Port.
Port were just too good against the Bombers anyway.
And then Freo got robbed at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they were up by 2, then they got 2 controversial goals. Well, it wasn't really the controversial goal. It was like the controversial mark, and then the thing not going back to the square. Then the free kick, yep. And I reckon if they were up by 2 before they got robbed in the last 30 seconds or whatnot, Freo are going to win by 2. How about that? I reckon Freo will win by 2.
But
what's your tip, Shannon? Sorry about that.
Because it's a home game, I think Port Adelaide is just going to be good, too good. They're going to get Sam Powell, Pepper and Wines back this week. I think Port will get it done by 42 points. Just be too good against the Dockers. And say bye-bye to Freo. Freo don't play well at Adelaide Oval.
The last 2 games of the round, it is. Both bottom 2 sides do not play each other, but they play in the last 2 games of the round. Sunday, the 14th of April, the Geelong Cats take on Northern at HBA Stadium, which should be a smashing. Just be real. Just stop having hope in North, everyone. Stop being
let's talk about Geelong for a minute there. They were just too good against the Bulldogs last week and won by 4 points.
Yeah,
North Melbourne got absolutely embarrassed.
by 70. And if the Lions can beat them by 70 at Norwood, you know what? Cats are going to win by 78 at GMHBA. Cats by 78. What's your tip, Shannon?
I'm going to say Cats by 85. It'll be a big score, a big win for the Cattos to go 5-0.
All right, this game, we're both obviously
It's going to be
Eagles
a bit of a
fans.
tricky
This could
one.
be a positive for us. At Optus Stadium on the Sunday fixture, the final game of the round, the Eagles take on the Tigers, and I'm just going to waste about, sorry Shannon, I'm going to waste about 2 minutes talking about this since it is the
No, it's
Eagles.
all right. Take your time.
But the Eagles obviously, they won, no, they didn't win, they almost won against the Swans, and they just lost that third quarter. If they weren't to that third quarter, we probably would have won. But it's a home game, and I've looked at the Tigers' injury list. It's arguably worse than the Eagles, to be honest. It's arguably worse. And then the Eagles have Liam Ryan coming back this week. So Liam Ryan will either play in the WIFL or the Waffle, whatever you want to call it, or the AFL. Let's hope he plays in the AFL for the Eagles.
Jai Cully and Dom Creed is also coming back from injury.
Yeah, Jai Cully could come back. Jai Cully could. And if the Eagles just play how they played against the Swans, the Tigers, I reckon the Tigers would win. The Tigers really could win by like 20 or whatnot. But I reckon the Tigers will lead in the first and second quarters. Then the Eagles will just go bang, bang, bang and finish it off in the third and fourth. And the Eagles will win by 15 at home. What is your tip, Shannon?
Whoa, considering the Tigers are heavy favourites.
They're not
I
heavy
don't
favourites,
know.
actually. On the ESPN it is, but the odds are actually, it's only like
The percentage
$3
is
for the Eagles, I think.
The percentage is quite different. It's quite tricky, but I'm actually going to go to Tigers just to be safe. I'm just not ready to trust our team just yet.
What team?
The Eagles, I'm going to say the Tigers get it done by 32, even with Tom Lynch out for a long time, a period of time. But I just think the Tigers will probably just be a bit too good in all four quarters.
That's right.
What with Liam Baker coming back into the team this week after copping a one-match suspension. So I think the Tigers get it done by 32.
And we also forgot to talk about with the poor game against Freo. Another reason why I tipped Freo, Jeremy Finlayson. I think, is he out or is he still playing?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think he's still.
Is he still playing or is he out?
He might still be playing, but they're just under investigation at the moment. They're either going to give him punishment or let him off the hook.
All right. Thanks, Shannon, for getting on. Thank you guys for watching this round 5 footy tips and predictions. We'll see you on the next video, guys. Have a good one. Peace.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays.